Something paradoxical happens as you get older as a man and you don't get married. Now, I was once asked recently by a brother in his 30s, said to me, I'm still not married, I haven't got any kids, I feel like I'm behind, etc., etc. What do I do? And I said to him, first of all, bro, you're still relatively young. That was my initial knee-jerk response. I said to him, you're still relatively young. Okay, you're in your 30s, but you're still relatively young. You're not old. And he responded, he said to me, no, this is a non-Muslim way of thinking. This is a kafir way of thinking. I'm not young. I'm getting on in age. What are you talking about? And I sat and I really thought about it and I deeped it for a moment. I was like, you know what? He's got a point. He has a point. And the reason why I say he has a point is because for a non-Muslim, he's still considered young in his 30s, not married, because he's sexually active. You see, he's getting that outlet. But for a Muslim man, a practicing Muslim man, if he's still not married by the time he's in his 30s, even past 25, by the way, past 25, it starts to get a bit tricky. I'm not going to lie, and I'll explain why. But if he's not married by the time he hits 30, that's 10 years or so he's been trying to get married. Maybe 5 years, maybe a bit longer, maybe a bit shorter. 15 years he's been a man, he's past puberty, which means his hormones have been raging all that time. And unless he's committed haram, which is unlikely in today's day and age, unless you're going to go to a brothel, because women are not willing to give it up to just any man. That's a whole nother discussion. Well, then he's been celibate this whole time. That is not healthy. There's something called blue ball syndrome. Check it out online. And by the way, guys, I am going to open up because I have a feeling that a few of you will want to join this discussion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat. I've still got quite a bit to go through, all right, before I open up the lines. But I'll put the link in the chat for you guys to join the stream if you have a question that you want to ask personally. Okay, just boom. It's in the chat right now. If you want to join the stream, you're welcome to wait backstage until I bring you on. Okay, I'll need you to flash your camera at me first, though. It is not healthy to be celibate for that long. I went to Saudi Arabia in 2013. I worked there for a year as an English teacher in Medina. Beautiful experience, alhamdulillah. But I went on my own for the first year, and the idea was that I eventually take my family out with me. Now, that didn't transpire in the end, and I'll get to that afterwards. But during that year, so I split it up into 3 chunks. From September to December, so about 3-4 months. Then I came back to the UK for a week. And then I came back in the Easter time again for another week. And then I came back in the summer. So I spent maybe 8 or 9 months there. And I was able to come back twice. So you could say every 4 months I came back to the UK. After 3 weeks, I remember. So I was just 22 then, or 23. So I'm a young man. I think I was 23. After just 3 weeks, I don't want to call it an itch. It wasn't an itch. It was becoming desperate. It was becoming really bad. I needed to relieve myself in halala. I needed to relieve myself with a woman. After about 6 weeks, my private started to hurt. My balls, they started to hurt. They literally begun to hurt. They were like throbbing with pain. I can't describe it to you. For those of you who don't have a wife, maybe you know what I'm talking about. They were hurting me. It was throbbing with pain. And that pain only left me once I returned back to the UK, and I was able to do as man and wife does when man and wife are together. And then I'd go back out there and the same cycle would repeat itself. It was a bloody nightmare. I never want to do that again. I never want to be away from a wife for that much time, for any more than 3 weeks. Awful, awful experience. And it affects everything. It clouds your mind. You can't think straight. All you're thinking about is that all day long. It's all long, bruv. And if you're non-Muslim, you have your outlets. You can go to a brothel, worst case scenario. Maybe you're going to rub one out. I don't know. Even then, rubbing one out, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as being intimate with a woman. But as a Muslim, practicing Muslim man, which I believe the majority of my audience are, you're stuck. You are literally stuck. I can see your camera. Thank you very much, my guy. I can see you there. You can switch it off now. Shukran. Jazakallah khair. I will bring you guys back on. I will bring you on in due course. Just be patient. Bear with me, inshallah. There's a few of you in the queue now, so just bear with me. If you hop out, you'll go to the back of the queue. So just bear with me because I need to get through this initial monologue. So this question has been bothering me because of my brief experience of having had to be celibate by force because I was in Saudi Arabia on my own. That brief experience, it played on my mind, and it's been bothering me because the majority of men that I deal with are young men in their teens and 20s. They're like, Mahdi, I want to just get married, bro. I don't want to commit haram. I just want to get married. Big man thing. I just want to get married. I want to please my Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala and relieve myself in halal. Who can blame them? This is commendable. In fact, what am I talking about? This is commendable. And so many young men don't have that today. They don't have the privilege that I had. I got married at 16. I've been married since 16. You know, look at me here complaining about the few months that I had to spend without my wife. Many of you guys here have been doing this for years. But I can relate in some small way to what you've been going through. And this question has been bothering me for the past few weeks, over and over and over. What is the solution for our young brothers, especially our young brothers? For all Muslim men, but I am focusing specifically on the young Muslim man. Why? For the reason I mentioned a few minutes ago. His testosterone is at its peak. He is at his most virile. He wants to sow his wild oats. That is when the need, the urge is at its height. And it needs a release, and it needs relief. And if it is not released outwardly, it starts to release itself in weird ways inwardly. Because it's going to have to be released somehow or another. What analogy can I give you for this? I heard that men who have a vasectomy, which is where they cut off the tube where he shoots his load, apparently, from one podcast I watched, I can't remember with who it was, can't remember which doctor it was with, but apparently if you get the chop, a vasectomy, the sperm that was meant to ejaculate, it goes back into the bloodstream and can poison the bloodstream. Going back to my initial point, what was I saying? Either way, it needs a release. Either it's going out or it's going in, but it needs a release. And if it's not coming out the natural way, the way that it was meant to be, the way that Allah subhanahu decreed for it that it was meant to come out, then it's going to come out, or it's going to disperse itself or release itself in an unhealthy way, in this case poisoning the bloodstream. And I don't know if this is clinically correct or not, but this is what I heard one doctor say, wallahu a'lam. And this is what is happening to our young men today. They don't have the natural release, and therefore it's turning inward, maybe through masturbation addictions, maybe through a porn addiction, maybe through God knows what. I'm hearing madness. Absolute madness. What is the solution? The sisters claim they want to get married, but in reality, they only want to get married to this fanciful, mythical unicorn they've invented in their mind, the guy that they follow on Instagram. How many of those are there? Not many. What do we do for the average everyday brother, which is the demographic and the audience that I am addressing? It's all very well telling brothers and young men in general, you need to be the top 10%. I get you, I'm with you. I'm all about that life. But it's called top 10% for a reason. What do we do with the remaining 90? They don't get married. It's not a solution. It's not even a fair argument to say if you're not part of the top 10% of earning men, then you shouldn't even think about trying to get married. This is nonsense. This is a nonsense argument. For sure, it's a shortcut, but it's the top 10% for a reason. What do we do with the remaining 90? We are not offering a solution to the remaining 90%. We are simply stating the obvious. And since when is it a prerequisite to be a top 10% earning man to get married? What? So I need to be top 10% to get myself an average sister. Okay.
Go wash your ass.
Really?
Go wash your ass.
Please give me strength. I need to be top 10% earning man to get with an average sister. Phew, what are you talking about? Bismillah. So, to the young man who's watching me right now, I hear you, man. I feel your struggle. Wallahi, I do. Let me just go over my notes here. I don't want to miss anything. Right. Something strange happens as a Muslim, practicing Muslim who is not intimate with women outside of nikah, outside of marriage. Something weird happens, and that is the longer you remain single, the fussier you become with regards to what type of woman you want to marry. Why? Because you've been patient for so long that you don't want to, as one person put it that I know, I don't want to break my fast on a basla. I don't want to break my fast, the fast of being celibate for so many years, on an onion. I've been single, saving myself for the sake of Allah for this long. Now you want me to marry a basla? You want me to marry an onion? I don't think so. So they become more fussy. You see? Which is making it even more difficult for them to find a spouse, to find a wife. And all of this because his desires have not had a natural outlet for them to express themselves. If he had that natural outlet, I guarantee you, you would not be as fussy. I guarantee it. I'm not saying you should overlook red flags and so on. I'm with you. But I am saying that the longer it goes on that you don't get married, especially as you're reaching towards 30, there's something about 30, it's just different. Like once you hit the big 3-0, it's just different, man. It's different. You become fussier. This is a problem. This is a mushkila. So what's the solution?
So if you like that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.